Hello everyone. I would like to talk a little bit about competency E3, which is locate parts and service information. This is the assignment you were given last night, and I would like to just expand a little bit or touch on some important points that, because as millwrights you will end up dealing with different forms. Either it's a business form, such as issuing PO number for the work to be completed when you're hiring a third party, or maybe you're filling out a form that relates to ordering a part for the job that you are working on. And in general, there are two types of forms. It's either business forms or record-keeping forms. In business forms, you may have heard of purchase orders. So that's a purchase order, PO number, and then that accompanied by a number. So PO and then number. Or you may have heard of work orders, or you may have heard of purchase requisitions. So those three are business forms that you may end up dealing with. Work orders being type of business form, it basically gives you authorization to start work. So you might be getting to a customer site and starting this form, and it basically, when the customer signs that work order, it gives you authority to start work. In those situations, you have to identify the work to be done in the form that the customer will sign, and it will also give him an idea how long it will take you to fix something. So this is why it's important to have all business forms filled out legibly. So nowadays, even though work orders are done on computers and more or less it becomes legible by default, but if you do carry work orders in a stack of paper, then you have to know what to fill out and how to fill out. And one of the most important things is to make sure that all work orders or any business form is filled out legibly. So for example, if a piece of equipment you installed has a certain warranty, let's say 2-year warranty, and you came in and you did the work, and your work is backed up by the work order will have a date when the work was completed. Therefore, the customer will start counting the warranty date from the date when machinery was installed. So if something happens within that 2-year period, for example, the customer can get back to the work order and specify that the breakdown happened during the warranty claim period. The work order will have name of the company and address and the phone number of the company you're working for, and as soon as the customer signs the work order, it will authorize you to start the work. Nowadays, even though the customer may not have to sign the work order, but in some cases you cannot start any work without the work order. I've had experience where I'm at the customer site, I can see this machinery being broken down, I can probably fix it in 20 minutes or half hour, or at least start troubleshooting, but I've been told many times, wait for the work order, because that gives you authorization to start the work. So I highlighted this area where it says you have to fill out the work order legibly and accurately. So accurately is the keyword, and that traces it back to warranty claims to be submitted within the warranty time period. So the work order should have customer information, factual information, any service information, and then it may or may not have billing information. In your example, you had billing information included in the work order, but I'll show you billing information that I have that is separate from the work order that the customer provides for me. In billing information, very likely that it's the office staff that will end up filling out as far as billing information, but you do need to provide any charges related to the job that you've completed. For example, in my case, I always charge for travel time, so that relates to car and service charges. I charge for mileage travel, time travel, so that will be included in billing information. And then labor charges, parts and accessories if any needed. And then if I have to charge PST, then PST will be applied to parts and accessories, and then GST, which is applied to labor and total parts. And then billing information will display total charges to the customer, but it's very likely that the office staff will have to worry about that part. And here's a billing example of how I charge my customers. So I've got location of my business, and I've got billing too. And in this case, it's H&A Engineering located in Surrey. So I've got their address, postal code, number, contact number, and then ship to. So the difference between who I am shipping to and billing to is that some companies, they may have several offices, and their head office will only receive billed to. But where the work was completed is shipped to, and that was completed at their place in Surrey. So if these names are different, then all it means is that the company will have two head offices, or different head office from where you were doing business at. And then to describe the work I've completed, I highlighted the time taken to complete this lubrication issue at 2 hours and 30 minutes at a rate of $115. And that included travel time, my travel time, and mileage. So that had to be specified. And then I've got a subtotal on which I applied the GST. So this billing invoice didn't have parts applied to the job, therefore there was no PST involved, and then the GST only, and then had a total at the end of the bill. So it's just an example of what you might be filling out. And you had a good example of work order, and if you look through it, it showed you what field gets filled with what. So it's kind of, hopefully it will made it more clear to you. Parts acquisition, it's a form designed to be used within the company. So this would be an example where you work for one company, so you come to work at the same place and you disassemble something, you need parts. You will have to fill out parts requisition form. Purchase order form is slightly different from work order in that purchase order is applicable for example, for a contractor that will come to your place of work. So that's used for external ordering, and purchase order will have a number specific to the job that it's applied to, and then it will be signed by someone in the company, in your company, who is authorized to issue PO number, because this becomes a binding agreement between your company and the outside source, very similar to work order. And you had an example of purchase order filled out as well. Record keeping forms. So far we've covered business forms. With record keeping forms, there might be timesheets, daily time cards, vehicle logs, maintenance logs, maintenance schedule, and employee diary. So at your place of work, you may either be keeping track of your own activities. So this is just your regular workday record of your own activities. So you come at 7 o'clock, you punch in, and you punch out at 3 o'clock, therefore you get paid for 8 hours. So that's your own activities at the job site. But sometimes company require you to fill out daily time cards for a particular job that you performed during that 8-hour period. I hope this is kind of clear. So you would fill out daily time cards if the employer wants to know how much labor was spent on a particular job. So it's just for informational purposes, and it's slightly different from timesheet that you have to fill out when you walk into the site or when you leave it. So timesheets will be filled out daily, and they will cover 2-week time period most of the time. So this is you walking into the job site and you're working at one place all the time. So you punch in and punch out. That's what it means for the timesheets. And then daily time card, as I explained earlier, it's basically the employer wants to know how much time you spent on one particular job. And this, an example such as, like, say, your company rebuilds gearboxes, and they need to know how much to charge for a particular gearbox to be rebuilt. So the gearbox will come into your company, you order all the parts, you rebuild the gearbox, you put your time in the daily time card, and then the company you work for, they will upcharge the customer whose gearbox they're fixing. So that's the only good applicable example, I guess. Next one is the maintenance schedule. So I just jumped over one page a little bit, hopefully to make it more clear. So maintenance schedule will have all the points that need to be addressed, but maintenance log will have a log of that particular maintenance to be done. So maintenance schedule will be over a long-term period. Let's say maintenance schedule in your vehicle over 3 years, but during those years you need to replace oil filter every 6 months and then rotate tires every 2 months. So that will go into the maintenance log. So I hope you see the difference between maintenance log and maintenance schedule. So maintenance schedule is over a long period. And those are the points I just wanted to expand on. And as I mentioned, you will have a final test on communication. It's all based on the handouts that you've gotten in the classroom. And I will be in touch later. Thank you.